Okay, so you know that feeling you're going through your day, and it seems like no matter how many things you check off your list, like there's always more coming at you, and you're always kind of chasing your tail.
Right.
And there's never enough time to get it all done.
Yeah, you just feel overwhelmed.
Exactly, overwhelmed.
Like you're always busy,
Yes.
but you're not really sure if you're actually accomplishing all that much.
Right, and so that's exactly why we are here today to do a deep dive into this idea of eating the frog,
Okay.
which I know might sound a little strange.
Yeah, at first.
Yeah, but
Don't
don't worry, we're not actually suggesting that you go out and find some amphibians to add to your breakfast.
Oh, no.
It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for tackling your most important task.
Like the biggest one on your list.
Yes, your biggest, ugliest frog.
The one you're most dreading.
First thing in the morning.
Right. Get it out of the way.
Exactly. And this idea is popularized by the book that we're exploring today, Eat That Frog, by Tracy.
Such a catchy title.
I know, right?
You immediately know what it's about.
Yes, exactly. And the idea is often attributed to Mark Twain.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think it was a quote about if you start your day by eating a live frog, everything else will seem easier.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's kind of the principle behind it.
So get the worst thing out of the way, and then everything else is downhill from there.
Exactly.
Yep.
So that's the mission today.
Our mission.
Should you choose to accept it?
I think our listeners will want to accept this one.
I think so too. It's to really help you gain better control of your time.
Become more effective.
Yes.
And just feel less overwhelmed by all the things.
Less overwhelmed, exactly. And Tracy in this book, Eat That Frog, he really lays out a pretty comprehensive set of tools and techniques.
Yeah, it covers everything from setting clear goals to fine-tuning your daily schedule.
Yes.
It's really about building a system.
It is. It's like a whole productivity system.
Yeah.
So we're not going to be able to cover absolutely everything in the book today.
No, it's packed with tips.
It's packed, but we are going to hit on some of what we see as the most impactful foundational principles.
The key takeaways.
Yes, exactly. So let's jump right in.
Okay, let's do it.
So the first key to success, according to Tracy, is having crystal clear goals.
And this is where it all starts.
It is.
It's so fundamental because
Okay.
if you don't know what you're aiming for, how can you possibly hit the target?
Exactly. It's like you're just kind of wandering around aimlessly.
Right.
And, it's amazing what he says. He says that only 3% of adults actually have clear written goals.
Wow, that's a really small number.
It is a tiny fraction.
And I'm guessing those are the people who are achieving the most.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. He says that 3%, they achieve 5 to 10 times more than people with the same or even greater talent and education.
So it's not about intelligence or talent.
Not necessarily, no.
It's about clarity of purpose.
Yes, it's that intentionality, that focus.
Makes a huge difference.
It really does.
So how do we get that clarity? How do we set those clear goals?
Well, Tracy gives us this 7-step formula.
Okay, 7 steps.
7 steps, and it sounds very simple.
Simple but effective.
But the power is in consistently applying it.
Right.
So step 1, decide exactly what you want.
Okay, so get specific.
Yes, very specific, and then write it down.
Don't just keep it in your head.
Yes, write it down.
Make it real.
Make it tangible.
Tangible.
And set a deadline.
Oh, deadlines are key.
They are so important.
Otherwise, you'll just keep putting it off.
Absolutely, and then make a list of everything you'll need to do to achieve that goal.
Break it down into smaller steps.
Yes, chunk it down and then organize that list into a plan.
Like a roadmap.
A roadmap,
It
exactly.
flows you there.
And then take action immediately.
Don't wait.
Don't wait, don't procrastinate, just get started.
Start right away.
Even if it's a small step.
Even a tiny step is progress.
Exactly, and then commit to doing something every single day that moves you closer to that major goal.
Consistency is key.
It is. Consistency is key. And you know what I find so interesting is that he really emphasizes this idea of thinking on paper.
Thinking on paper?
Yeah, like literally writing things down.
Oh, I see.
Because he says when you write your goals down, it transforms them from vague aspirations into something tangible and real.
It makes it more concrete.
It does.
It's like solidifying the thought.
Yes. And there's a cognitive difference between a wish that's just floating around in your head
Right.
and a clearly defined statement that's written on a page.
It's like you're making a commitment to yourself.
Exactly. And breaking down those big goals into smaller, actionable steps just makes it feel less overwhelming and more attainable.
More manageable.
More manageable. And I think the deadline is so important because it adds that element of urgency.
Yeah, it prevents procrastination.
It does. It lights a fire under you.
You know, you have to get it done by a certain date.
Exactly. And then having the plan is like having that roadmap to guide you.
So you know exactly what steps to take.
Yes, step by step. And as you complete each step, you can check it off, and it gives you that sense of progress and momentum.
Oh, that feeling of accomplishment. It's very motivating.
It is very motivating. And Tracy doesn't just leave us with the theory. He gives us a practical exercise.
Oh, I love his practical exercise.
Okay, they're so helpful. So grab a pen and paper or open up your notes app
Okay, everyone, get ready.
and just jot down 10 goals that you'd like to achieve in the next year.
10 goals.
10 goals. But here's the key. He says, write them in the present tense as if they've already happened.
So instead of saying, I want to lose weight, I will say,
I am at my ideal weight.
I am at my ideal weight.
Okay, and make them positive and personal.
So no negativity.
No negativity, only positive framing.
Got it.
And then once you have your 10 goals, he says, go back and identify the single goal that if you achieved, it would have the greatest positive impact on your life.
Just one.
Just one, the most important one.
The one that would make the biggest difference.
Exactly. And then you write that goal on a separate piece of paper, set a firm deadline, develop a detailed plan, take immediate action, and do something every day, no matter how small, to move towards it.
Wow, that sounds powerful.
It is. And he says that this exercise alone can be life-changing.
So we've got our clear written goals.
Yes.
What's next?
Well, the next step, according to Tracy, is daily planning.
Daily planning.
Chapter 2 of the book is all about the importance of planning each day in advance.
So you're not just winging it.
No winging it.
You have a plan.
You have a plan. And he says that this habit unlocks your mental capacity. It sparks creativity and increases your energy levels.
It makes sense when you think about it.
It does, because you're not wasting mental energy trying to figure out what to do next.
You've already got it all laid out.
Exactly. And he quotes Alex McKenzie, who says, action without planning is the cause of every failure.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a powerful statement.
It really emphasizes the importance of having a strategy.
Yes, and not just being busy, but being productive.
Right. You could be doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
But if they're not aligned with your goals, it's not really getting you anywhere.
It's wasted effort.
Wasted effort.
Exactly. So planning provides that essential alignment.
So you're working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. And he introduces this concept called the 10-90 rule.
The 10-90 rule. I like it.
It's a great rule. It basically says that the first 10% of time that you invest in planning and organizing your work before you even begin
It's okay.
can save you as much as 90% of the time you'd otherwise spend actually doing the tasks.
Wow. So just a little bit of planning up front
Yes.
can save you a ton of time in the long run.
So much time.
It's all about efficiency.
It is all about efficiency and minimizing errors and rework and just going down those rabbit holes.
Right. So you stay focused.
Stay focused and you're more productive.
Okay, so how do we actually implement this daily planning?
So Tracy recommends creating a hierarchy of lists.
Okay.
So you start with a master list,
A master list.
which is basically a running list of everything you want or need to do eventually.
Like a brain dump.
Exactly. A brain dump, get it all out of your head.
Okay, and then what?
And then at the end of each month, you create a monthly list
Okay.
from that master list.
Pulling out the most important items for the month.
Exactly. And then at the beginning of each week, you create a weekly plan.
Okay, so we're getting more and more granular.
Yes, more granular. And then finally, and this is crucial for putting that eat that frog principle into action,
Okay, here we go.
you create a daily list
A daily list.
of the specific activities you're going to complete that day.
So each day, you know exactly what you need to do.
Exactly. And he suggests doing this the night before.
The night before.
Yes, prepare your daily list the night before.
Why the night before?
Because he says it allows your subconscious mind to process those tasks while you sleep.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so you might even wake up with fresh ideas or a clearer sense of how to tackle them.
So it's like giving your brain a head start.
Exactly, a head start. And then as you move through your day, he emphasizes the importance of ticking off those completed tasks.
Yeah, I love doing that.
It's so satisfying.
It feels good to see that progress.
It does, and it provides that tangible sense of accomplishment.
And fuels your motivation.
Yes. And you can visually see your progress as that list gets shorter.
It's a great feeling.
It is a great feeling. So we're planning our days, we've got our lists.
But how do we decide which task to tackle first?
Ah, yes, the big question.
Which frog to eat first?
Exactly, and that's where the 80-20 rule comes into play.
The 80-20 rule, tell me more.
So the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle, is this really insightful concept
Okay.
that suggests that approximately 20% of your activities
20%.
will generate 80% of your results.
Oh, wow. So a small portion of our our efforts
Yes.
is responsible for the majority of our outcomes.
Exactly. And this principle applies to so many areas of life.
Not just work.
Not just work, business, economics, even personal life.
Interesting.
So if you have that daily list of 10 things you need to do,
yeah,
statistically about 2 of those items
only 2.
are going to contribute as much or even more to your overall goals than the other 8 combined.
That's a huge difference.
It is a huge difference in impact for potentially a similar amount of effort.
So we need to identify those 2.
Yes, identify those vital few tasks. Those are the frogs.
The frogs, the important ones.
Exactly. And here's where it gets interesting. Most people tend to procrastinate on those top 10 or 20% of truly valuable tasks.
The ones that really matter.
The ones that will move the needle the most.
But we put them off.
We put them off because they often feel harder or more challenging or maybe even a little bit uncomfortable.
Right. We'd rather do the easier things.
Yes, the easier things, the things that give us that quick sense of accomplishment.
Like checking off a bunch of small tasks.
Exactly. But Tracy says, resist that temptation.
Resist it.
Don't clear up those small things first.
Focus on the big ones.
Yes, focus on the frogs.
Eat that frog.
Eat that frog first thing in the morning and then you'll feel so much better.
Okay, so we're prioritizing based on impact.
Yes.
But what about the long-term consequences of our choices?
That's a great point, and that's what Chapter 4 is all about.
Chapter 4, okay.
It's all about considering the long-term implications of the tasks we choose to do or not do.
So thinking about the future.
Yes, thinking about the future, and he emphasizes that the potential consequences, both positive and negative, should be a primary driver in determining a task's true importance.
It's not just about what's urgent.
No, it's about what's important.
Right, what will have the biggest impact down the line.
Exactly. And he brings in this fascinating research from Dr. Edward Banfield at Harvard,
Harvard, wow.
who after decades of studying success concluded that what he called long-time perspective
Long-time perspective.
is the single most reliable predictor of upward social and economic mobility.
More than anything else.
More than family background, more than education, more than intelligence.
That's pretty amazing.
It's the ability to think about the long-term consequences of your actions.
So people who have a strong long-term vision,
Yes.
they tend to make different choices in the present
They do. They're willing to delay gratification.
for greater rewards later.
Exactly. And Tracy says that long-term thinking improves short-term decision-making.
That makes sense.
Because when you know where you want to go, it's easier to decide what to focus on right now.
You're more likely to choose the tasks that will get you there.
Exactly. And he points out that important tasks tend to have long-term consequences, while unimportant tasks generally do not.
So it's a good way to distinguish between the two.
It is a good way to distinguish. And he has this great quote from Dennis Waitley, who says, "Failures do what is tension relieving, while winners do what is goal achieving."
Oh, that's a good one.
It's so true, right?
It's about choosing the tasks that will actually move you forward.
Yes, even if they're a little bit harder or more challenging in the moment.
Right, so we need to think about the long-term consequences
Yes,
and prioritize accordingly.
absolutely. But how do we actually put this into practice on a daily basis?
How do we decide which tasks to focus on each day?
That's a great question, and that's where the ABCDE method comes in.
The ABCDE method. Yeah.
Chapter 5 is all about this really practical and straightforward technique for prioritizing your daily to-do list.
It sounds simple.
It is simple, but that's the beauty of it.
Simple, but effective.
Exactly. So here's how it works. You start with your list of all the tasks you need to accomplish that day.
Okay, I got my list.
And then before you do anything, you assign a letter,
A letter.
A, B, C, D, or E, to each item,
Okay, based on.
based on its level of importance and the potential consequences of not completing it.
So A is the most important.
A is the most important, the must-do tasks, the ones that have serious negative consequences if you don't get them done.
Those are the frogs.
Those are the big, ugly frogs. And if you have multiple A tasks,
Uh-huh.
you prioritize them further by numbering them A1, A2, A3,
Okay.
with A1 being the biggest, ugliest frog of them all.
The one you have to eat first.
Exactly, eat that frog first thing in the morning.
Got it.
Then you have B items, which are tasks you should do, but the consequences of not doing them are relatively mild.
So not as critical.
Not as critical, they're like the tadpoles.
For a tadpole.
And the rule here is you never work on a B task if you still have an A task outstanding.
Don't let the tadpoles distract you from the frogs.
Exactly. And then C tasks are the ones that would be nice to do,
Uh-uh.
but there are no consequences if you don't do them.
Like making a phone call to a friend.
Yes, or catching up on some reading or something like that.
Okay.
D tasks are those that you can and should delegate to someone else.
Delegate.
Delegate, 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 delegate.
Free up your time.
Free up your time and energy for those A tasks, the ones that only you can do.
Makes sense.
And then E tasks are the ones that you can eliminate altogether.
Just get rid of them.
Get rid of them. They're no longer relevant to your goals.
So declutter your to-do list.
Yes, declutter and simplify. And once you've categorized your entire list using the ABCDE method, the most important step is to start immediately on your A1 task.
That biggest, ugliest frog.
That frog, and stick with it until it's finished.
No distractions.
No distractions, just focus.
Laser focus.
Laser focus on that one task.
Eat that frog.
Eat that frog. And he says that developing this habit of single-minded concentration
can lead to incredible levels of productivity.
you get so much more done.
So much more done.
It's amazing. It is amazing. So we're learning how to prioritize our daily tasks.
But what about our bigger responsibilities?
Like in our jobs?
Yes, like in our careers.
That's a great point. And that brings us to the concept of key result areas.
Key result areas.
KRAs.
KRAs, okay.
Chapter 6 is all about identifying your key result areas in your work.
So what are key result areas?
So they're basically the 5 to 7 essential areas
6 to 7.
where you must achieve results to successfully fulfill your job responsibilities.
Okay, so the core functions of your role.
Exactly, the core pillars of your job.
Got it.
And he gives some great examples, like for a manager.
Okay, a manager.
Key result areas might include planning, organizing, delegating, and supervising.
Makes sense.
For a salesperson, it might be prospecting, presenting, closing deals, building relationships.
Okay, so it varies depending on your job.
It does. It varies depending on your specific role, but
Right.
once you've identified your key result areas,
He suggests grading yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in each of those areas.
Oh, interesting.
yeah, be honest with yourself.
Where are my strengths and weaknesses?
Exactly. And he says that your weakest key result area
The weakest one.
will often determine the level at which you can effectively use all your other skills and abilities.
This is like a bottleneck.
It is like a bottleneck. It's like a chain is only as strong as its weakest link.
Right, so even if you're great in all the other areas,
If you have one weak area, it's going to hold you back.
you need to address that weakness.
Exactly. And to help you identify that weak area, he poses this powerful question.
Okay, I love his question.
He too. They're so thought-provoking. He says, what one skill, if I developed and did it in an excellent fashion, would have the greatest positive impact on my career?
Wow, that's a good one.
It is, and he encourages you to really think about it.
Yeah,
And even ask your boss and your colleagues for feedback.
get some different perspectives.
Yes, because they might see things that you don't see.
That's true.
And identifying that one skill to focus on can be transformative.
It can really accelerate your career.
It can make a huge difference.
So we've covered a lot of ground today.
We've gone through a lot of the key principles from Eat That Frog.
We talked about setting clear goals, planning our days, prioritizing tasks,
Considering the long-term consequences and focusing on our key result areas.
and it all comes down to this idea of taking control
Yes, taking control of our time and our priorities.
and choosing to tackle the most important tasks first. Eating that frog
Eating that frog.
to reduce overwhelm and achieve greater effectiveness.
It's a powerful concept.
It is a powerful concept. So as you're reflecting on what we talked about today,
Yeah.
think about which of these strategies resonated most with you.
Which one felt most impactful?
Which one you feel like you could actually implement in your own life.
And which frog are you going to eat tomorrow morning?
Yes. What's your biggest, ugliest frog?
The one you've been putting off.
The one you've been dreading.
But you know it's time to tackle it. It's time to eat it.
Eat that frog.
And if you found this deep dive helpful,
Yeah.
we encourage you to check out Brian Tracy's book.
Eat that frog.
It's full of even more great tips and strategies
For getting things done.
for getting things done and feeling less overwhelmed.
And more in control of your life.
Exactly. So go out there, eat your frogs.
And have a productive day.
Yes, have a great day.
Bye.